go ahead and just speak. This is actually, I can kind of go through it. Could you put this on the first page? The website. This is actually our website, so that you know. And I was speaking earlier about this network gathering that we're having in Detroit. And I definitely wanted to make sure I mentioned it too, so I don't forget before I go anywhere else. I'm not going to play it. But this network gathering that we're having in Detroit, we decided to put it out there for families to come, to be a part of this conference. Could you turn the lights on?
I can figure it out.
Oh, we have all types of different. We can't even get the lights on.
Maybe that's
Okay.
Technology.
So, but yeah, this network gathering, I'll try to just go ahead and go anyway. Over 50 families let us know that they were interested in coming to the event. And so we went on a campaign of fundraising with the ultimate goal to raise $30,000 to bring every family that we possibly could to the Detroit. And we've done very well, and so we have right now like 24 families that actually come to Detroit. So we are over half, actually we're over half the families. Some of the families include their children too. But anyway, I'm saying this to say that you can go to the website and or look up Allied Media Conference, United Families for Justice on the menu. Is it working now?
it's working.
Yeah, the headphone jack wasn't plugged in.
No, it wasn't. Oh, was it thinking over here?
No,
Right there.
Oh, well, I'm
Maybe they want to hear it again. I put it down. Huh? Maybe they can hear it again.
It's been kind of tricky tonight. But my point is this. If you want to make a donation to help us continue to raise the fund to get these families there, the idea of this event is public health, because so that you know that 53 to 56% of the police shootings that we see has to do with mental health. A lot of times the individual is in a crisis himself when the family calls the police to come give them some assistance. They really don't call the police, they call for medical help.
Right.
But the medical help calls the police to have them come first, to give help, to help get their loved one back in balance and end up, as we know, him getting killed. And this happens regularly. I see your hand.
Do you have alternative phone lines that people can call like instead of the police if they see situations like that?
So the organization in Oakland, Anti-Police Terror Project.
Sorry.
I hit a note there. I like this audience. Right. Basically, they're putting together a call line.
Right.
So you're aware of that? Yes. Oh, so you
I
okay?
just didn't know if like there were numbers that you knew about because at one of the meetings they were like, yeah, we're trying to.
Right, which is good. Because part of this is that we as a community is going to help fix this problem. Yes.
I just want to mention in the back of each zine, there's a little page dedicated to local organizations. There's a couple that we've added to the volume 2, specifically about alternative resources. If anybody has any other suggestions, maybe please mention it out loud so people can write it down.
Yes.
Can you talk about this event again and like
Right.
just like more detail and like
Slow down.
anything that I should be visiting or where should I be going to?
Okay. So Google Families United for Justice Network Gathering. Families United, number 4, Families United for Justice network gathering. Okay. And what you're going to find, it's going to take you to the homepage, which will be Allied Media Conference.
Okay.
So Allied Media Conference, this is its 19th annual conference. And this year we were able to carve out some space in the conference for a network gathering for families. So that you all know, we've made contact pretty much with as many families as we possibly could. We created really what Hillary took the claim as hers, the mothers of the movement, right? Those mothers know each other because of our bringing them together. And that's what we've been doing. So we embrace families. We initially just try to help them get through the trauma and let them realize first that they're not alone. So emotionally, we have what you call a family intervention crisis team. And so as we embrace these families and give them some balance, then we help connect them to the resources that they need in order to continue their struggle. And so this is going to be historic for us to have this network gathering because we've never done it before. We've always been invited to conferences and been a little piece of the conference. They might have me on a panel, another family on a panel, and you might come and hear us talk about our pain. But Cornel West said it this way: if you want to hear the truth, you must let the suffering speak. Mm-hmm. And so our experience, our suffering from the date that our child is murdered to just simply getting an autopsy report is a war. You hear them? Just simply trying to get some mental health becomes a war. And I could be a community violence victim and they haven't even located the killer of my loved one, but there are funds set aside to assist that family in the burial process. But if I'm a family member of a police victim family and the officer is not charged, you're on your own. You're on your own.
And you're never charged.
And right, they're never really charged.
Right.
If they even are charged, right, there is a real battle process to be able to acquire those funds to assist yourself and your family to bury your loved one. So there's much work that goes on in what we have to do as a network of families to iron out some kinks so that we can also be a part of what you call the victim's right. What was it called? The victim's right. I'm talking too much. But the victim's right, crime victim's right, right? You have some rights that you're entitled to. But anytime you're experiencing the police aspect, you miss those rights. So at this network gathering, a lot of that will be worked out. The families are coming together initially to bond and embrace one another and acquire a network of friends to help them through those lonely nights. That is so important. Yes.
I have a question. As a mother, and I have one son who's 40 years old, but I had such compassion for his mother because she had said, take the BART, don't drive, and I tell my grandkids that, take the BART, it's safer, and I just wanted to know, how is she doing? I mean, how, as a mother, how is she doing?
So it really took her 5 years. So everybody know Oscar's mother is a minister. Wanda's a minister, and so she embraces people in pain all the time. And yes, she told Oscar to catch BART. Oscar did exactly what his mama asked it. And then when that happened, she blamed herself. And I happened to become her Aaron in that struggle. You know what I'm saying? Moses didn't know what to say, so Aaron had to speak on his behalf. So God gave me the words to begin to be the speaker of our family. And I really spoke until she was able to gain her own voice, or Tatiana gained her voice, which is Oscar's daughter. And so really at that 5-year mark, she actually got her voice back. So that's why I gifted her the Oscar Grant Foundation, so she could take it in the direction that she felt Oscar's spirit was telling her. She's got 4 AAU basketball teams. They just acquired a girls basketball team. They travel all over this country playing basketball, and she does scholarships. So she has a voice now. She's doing a lot better. She was just in LA on Thursday, and they did a FaceTime a Facebook panel where they had 80,000 viewers. She was a panel member. A police officer was a panel member. So that was really neat. What's her name? Yes, Sanaa Latham, that TV program that came on called Shots Fired.
No, she's loving basketball.
Oh, she's loving basketball. I'm way off. But I'm sure I'm not the only one that don't know, all that.
Loving basketball? I mean, no loving basketball.
Hey.
Oh, okay.
You haven't seen it. That's one of the all-time favorite love stories.
I seen another hand.
Yes.
You want the mic?
What's it really going to take to get this movement to the forefront of people's priorities? I feel like everything needs an economic basis for being important to society. I feel like money makes the world go round, and business is in charge and in control of everything, honestly. And I'm 24, and I plan on having a big come up, inspiring people and making money and having an influence. And Colin Kaepernick was just one example. He exposed a huge issue in America. Do we need more celebrities, more people with money doing these things, more people in tech, we need more people with power giving speeches, and you guys are doing such a great thing, but it's not enough. I want to see this happen next month, next week. It's too slow, social change is so aggravatingly slow, and it increases these
Great question. Did everybody hear that question? So, do everybody know who Harry Belafonte is? Heard of Harry Belafonte?
Oh,
okay. Everybody hear of Paul Robeson?
Yeah.
Okay. Paul Robeson was Harry Belafonte's mentor.
Yeah.
Someone he really spoke up to and talked about. And Paul Robeson said, artists are the radical voice of civilization. I'm kind of chopping up and paraphrasing his quote. And so, in response to that question, right, Ryan Coogler, 22 years old, thought about how he can change this dynamics of what was happening with Oscar being murdered. And he came with this idea of putting the Oscar story on the big screen. And when you think about it, this is a young man that really risked his career to expose a murder, not in a sense in a blatant way, about a police officer doing something wrong, because we've never ever seen that before. And he came up under much attack because they felt it was an indictment on all police officers. But he was able, in his own gift, to show that this was not about an indictment on police officers. It wasn't about the tragedy. It was about Oscar and who he was as a person and his experiences and the trials and tribulations he went through. And so I won't say they bought it, because he fought all the way, in many ways still fighting. But my point is this: it's going to take all of us, not just waiting on these celebrities to step up and do it, but it's going to take all of us doing what God has given us to have our voice echo this trouble, echo this wrong that we see happening. Colin Kaepernick, it's interesting because if you know Oscar's story, the World Series was right here in the Bay Area. The Giants were playing, I can't remember, and we put a sailboat out there in McCovey's Bay with a big old banner on it that said "Justice for Oscar." Of course, they did the same thing, right? But nobody wanted to talk about it. And so they said, okay, let's fix this. When they moved our case to Los Angeles, they put our case right next door to Michael Jackson's, Conrad Murray, who murdered Michael Jackson, to water it down, but it didn't happen. Somehow Oscar still rose out of that. Right. And there was a confrontation that took place with the